All right, guys, so today we are doing our next Devo in Galatians 3. So go ahead and read that while you can. I've recovered from my...
I guess I'm teaching now. Who's this bozo? He doesn't even care that his best friend just got ran over. Alright guys, we're back for day 8 of quarantine devotion. But before we jump into it, let's take a second just to remember where we are exactly in Galatians. So if you remember, one of the major themes in Paul's letter to the Galatians is that we're saved by faith alone. And so we've been really hammering that hard the last few days because this theme comes up again and again, especially at the end of chapter 2 and the beginning of chapter 3. So we've been really hitting that hard. But now in chapter 3, Paul makes 3 different appeals to the Galatians for them to remember that we're saved by faith. The first, he says, just remember, right? Remember what happened with you guys. And Sarah talked about this yesterday. But Paul tells them, remember yourself, you hated Christ. There's no way you could have earned your salvation. You're saved only by faith. And then in verses 6 through 9 in chapter 3, which we're talking about today, Paul says that this being saved by faith is nothing new. In fact, it goes back to Abraham, the famous Old Testament guy. And then tomorrow we'll see in his third appeal that he goes back to other Old Testament sources. So today, go ahead and read Galatians chapter 3, verses 6 through 9. But then don't stop there. Also read Genesis chapter 15, verses 5 and 6. Welcome back. Paul kicks things off with a bang, reminding the Galatians that they're only a son or a daughter of Abraham through faith, not through physical lineage. And this makes sense. Remember, we've talked about this on Wednesday nights a few weeks ago. It feels like it was about 75 years ago, but it was really only a few weeks ago. That the seed of the woman, the line of the woman, and the line of the serpent aren't physical lineages, but they're spiritual lineages. And so so Paul reminds the Galatians that this applies to Abraham too. We're only joining into Abraham's family by faith, not by who we're born to. But the Jews had forgotten this, and they were relying on who they were born to, instead of relying on faith. And so in our temptation, we might be like, come on guys, what are you doing? Think about it. But let's apply it to a modern context, and we might have a little bit more sympathy to them. So imagine you have $1 billion waiting for you. So you're living with your parents now, but as soon as you're out of the house, $1 billion lined up. You'll never spend $1 billion. Some of you are like, challenge accepted. Maybe I could. I don't think so. So you have $1 billion lined up in the bank. Are you going to work hard at school? Are you going to look for a job? Maybe, but probably not, right? Because you don't need to. You never have to work. You never have to do anything you don't want to because you have $1 billion that somebody's just going to give to you just for being born. And so that's kind of like what the Jews were going through. They had this inheritance that they thought they just got because they were born Jewish. So let's not be too hard on them. So Abraham was saved by faith, and then all of his spiritual descendants would also be saved by faith. And this would allow for salvation to spread across the nations. And that's great news, obviously. So if salvation meant becoming physically adopted sons or daughters of Abraham, things would get kind of messy, right? That'd be a logistical nightmare. But if we're adopted into the family by faith, then spiritual Israel, or now the church, would spread like a wildfire all over the earth. So what does this mean for us? Well, it means that we cannot, nor could we ever, be saved by our works. It also means that we're all part of the family of Abraham by faith. It means we're all brothers and sisters in Christ. So it means we need to handle everything. The good times, the bad times, the hard times, the times we rejoice, the global pandemic times. We need to handle all the times like a family. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but when I was growing up, I was kind of suspicious about other churches. So I would go to my parents' Methodist church every so often. And so when I met somebody and they said, like, oh, I go to a Baptist church, I'd be like, it's kind of, not so much. What a weirdo. Or then in college, sometimes even we were in one campus ministry, and so we'd see other campus ministries, and we'd be like, oh yeah, we're on the same team, kinda, right? Like, not really, but sort of. And so, don't be like me. That's the application. Don't be like me in that sense. Uh, it's not CMPC versus Chestnut Mountain Church, or CMPC versus Christ Place, or whatever. It's the people, the sons and daughters of Abraham, spreading our faith to the nations. So that's it for today. I want you guys to go ahead. The prayer prompt, that didn't make sense. I want you guys to know that we really miss you. But here's the end. All right. So today's prayer prompt is to pray for your family. And so we were thinking, it doesn't really match up with the lesson, but we're thinking your immediate families, like your mom, your dad, your sisters, your cousins, your grandma, whatever. Pray for your family. Second, the poll is, do you prefer to play board games or card games? Okay, I guess a board game like Sorry, or a card game like Spades or Hearts or something like that. Pinochle. Reebok's family loves Pinochle. And then finally, the question of the day is, what is the most fun thing you've done during quarantine? And I really want to know, because I am very quickly running out of things to do. Anyways, I hope we see you guys soon. Make sure to look at the Facebook page, the Instagram page, putting videos up on YouTube. That song that you heard me jamming out to at the beginning was Halden's new song. If you just look for Halden Rule on Spotify, you can find his song. It's pretty good. I don't think we have any duets coming up. We'll leave the singing to him. Anyways, miss you guys. Praying for y'all. See you guys soon.